Hi everyone and welcome to Homo Ludens, the channel history and board games. And we are back. It's been quite busy actually the last few weeks here on this channel, and we're back for another teach and play with a designer, which is a format that I particularly enjoy. And tonight we're going to be playing Downfall: Conquest of the Third Reich by GMT Games, that was released late last year, I believe, and that was designed by Chad Jensen and John Butterfield. And we have John with us tonight. So thanks again, John, for being here. Second time on the show. Last time was for a general interview about your work. We talked actually about Downfall then. You had preliminary final art that you shared, and we got really excited about the game. And once it was released, the plan was for to have you on the show to show a bit to people how the game is played and get people excited about what I think is a pretty innovative system. So it's always nice to see a very well-known topic using hex and counters and still be innovative mechanically. So I think that's quite an interesting type of game, and I'm pretty excited to have you on once again to do a show with us today. And we also have Joe Dewhurst. Joe Dewhurst, who's a friend of the show. He's been here quite frequently. If you don't know him, Joe is a developer for GMT Games, but also a designer. Currently on P500, you have The Pure Land, an upcoming con game about. Let me place. How can I place this? Yeah, here we go. Upcoming coin game. About medieval Japan. Really excited about it when it will be out. We'll do teach and plays, of course. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Joe is my nemesis, so it makes sense to have him on the show as often as I can to actually play against him. And we'll see how that goes. I can see that there is already quite a few people in the chat, so that's great. Thanks everyone for being here. I can see that Eric is here. Nice to see you once again, Eric. Alistair is also here. Quite a few people, so that's nice. Bob Hainsman, so that's great to also have you. I'm not sure that I've already seen you on the stream, so welcome among us. Hey Scott, hey Martin. It's great to have all of you. And actually, if you're watching this live, a couple of things. First of all, well, feel free to ask questions to John while he's here. It's also the benefit of having him live, so you can actually interact. So please feel free to ask your questions, and I guess that John will also have the opportunity to answer while Joe and I will be playing. John will be focusing on teaching the game and facilitating it, but of course, feel free to ask any questions. But yeah, I think that's really great. Really excited to be playing this game. So how do you want to start? Should I start sharing the screen of the board, John, and maybe you give us an overall context for what we're trying to achieve in this game?
Yeah, that sounds good. Just looking at the people who come in, I noticed. So WWII is Kai Jensen.
Nice. I told you that she might be here.
Kai here, she worked. Has known about the game for over 10 years and was instrumental in getting it published. In many ways.
It's great to have you in the chat, Kai. And of course, you have the link to the stream. So if at any point you have a bit of time and want to drop by and say hi, please feel free to do so. I'm going to be sharing my screen now. I'm going to share the entire screen so I can show also the player aids and my hand of cards. And it should be coming up. Here it is. We also have Niels and we have Adam. Oh, that's cool. So we have a strong GMT presence right now. Like we just Rachel Billingsley said that she might drop by too. So who knows? We might have even more. Yeah, that's gonna be great. Cool. But so yeah, this is the board as you can see, and yeah, I'll leave it to you, John, to give us a bit of high level overview and context.
Sure. For those who don't know the basic concept of this game, it is World War II in Europe from late 42 to the end of the war, and it's called Downfall: Conquest of the Reich because in the game Germany loses. No player plays Germany specifically. It's a two-player game. One player plays the Western Allies, and the other plays the Soviets, working to defeat Germany. The Soviet player also controls the German forces in the West, opposing the Western allies, and the Western player controls the German forces in the east, OKH, opposing the Soviet forces. So in that way, both sides are trying to win the war on one front while staving off defeat on the other front. Um, so I think we have Fred is playing the Soviets and the West Germans,
Yep.
and Joe is playing the Western Allies and the Germans in the East. Um, so you can see the forces on the board. I'll get more into what the counters are, how they work once we're looking at specific actions and orders. But I want to give a little overview of what you're seeing on the board related to the unique systems in this game. Fred, if you can show the top edge of the board, we're
Yep.
not seeing it right now in the window. There we
And
go.
I'm
So
going to
running
zoom in.
the top of the board is an initiative track, and it also runs down the right side of the board. The track, oh, thanks for zooming in there. On the track is an initiative marker for each of the 4 factions that each player controls 2 factions. So we're seeing the Western faction, OKH, which is a light gray. The Soviet faction is a red marker. And the West German faction's OKW is a dark gray marker. The dark gray marker also has a weather marker on it, which also moves along the initiative track. But the concept here is that whichever faction has the initiative, that is in the lowest numbered space on this track, they are the active faction at the moment, and they get to do something. So we're seeing here that the Western allies in this scenario, by the way, we're playing the Husky scenario, which starts in July of 1943. We wanted to start with that so we can demonstrate
Some amphibious
invasion among many other things, which doesn't really happen when you start at the very beginning of the game. So on this initiative track, the Western allies will go first, but they'll choose an order which is going to cost a certain amount of initiative. And depending on how much that costs, they're going to move their marker that many spaces, and the West won't go again until they have the initiative again. So whichever marker is in the lowest numbered space, that identifies the faction that goes next. And that initiative system controls the action in the game. It also controls, as counters move along it, when events occur, and we'll talk about that when it happens, and the weather at any particular time in the game. Right here, just below the initiative track, is the turn track. We're starting the scenario on turn 3, and it shows a weather of fair and then mud. Though there's 3 weather periods in each turn, we start in fair weather, and then as the weather marker moves, which I'll demonstrate later as it happens, it'll move further down the initiative track and go into the next weather period, which will be fair again, because this is the summer. And then as we get near the end of the track, it will turn to mud. And so one cycle around the track of all the markers completes a game turn. So a game turn is quite long in this game. We may not even get to the end of this turn in this session, which is 90 minutes long, but we'll see how far we get. So that track, the turn track, zooming out a little bit more, in addition to the field of play, the hex grid, there are tracks for strategic warfare. Strategic warfare occurs between the Western Allies and OKW, the Western Germans, and it controls some of the strategic issues that determine victory in the West. The track that Fred is highlighting now is the Battle of the Atlantic. That determines control of the Atlantic and the outcome of the German U-boat campaign. Abstractly, the track up above Scandinavia there determines air power in the West. That's the strategic bombing track. And So on each track, a marker is moved along by the actions of the West and the West Germans to determine the status of that strategic warfare. And down here, near the Mediterranean, is the third track, the Siege of Malta, which determines control of the Mediterranean Sea. We'll be looking at this track as the game begins, because that's where the West will probably start.
And maybe, John, before we continue, I think there is a really interesting question here from Alistair, because this idea of having two players, one playing each side of the Allies, but also playing the opposite side of the Germans, is reminiscent of other games. And Alistair is asking this question here: was this game influenced by Battle for Germany from Strategy and Tactics?
That would be a question, ultimately would have been a question for Chad, but I know from the development of the evolution of his design, it didn't start this way. He first had a 4-player game, he had a 3-player game, and he ultimately settled on this, perhaps inspired by Battle for Germany. But I would also say that it grew organically out of him coming up with the best way to create, a player interaction that had a lot of play value in this subject. So he wound up with the game being between the West and the East instead of between the Germans and the Allies.
And actually, we have a reply from Kai here saying that
good.
it was in part inspired by this game, but also a few euros that they enjoyed for other game elements. So that makes a lot of sense. Cool.
More succinct than mine.
Oh, actually, Kai is also saying that you gave a better answer than
Oh.
she did.
Very nice.
So everything is fine then. Perfect. Cool.
Thanks, Kai.
Thanks to both of you. Great.
Yeah. And so if you can pull out to see the whole map for another moment. The other things on here that help us understand how the game works in general is you'll notice a lot of the hexes are outlined in red. Those are objectives, and the game is basically about control of those objectives. And the list of objectives is actually summarized on the left edge of the board. That track is actually, each box is one of the objective hexes from the map, and we see at the beginning of the game that the Soviets control 4 of them in Russia, and the West controls 5 of them. They control 3 objective hexes in Africa, and they control actually the Siege of Malta. If we look at the Siege of Malta track for a moment, the marker in the actual track of Siege of Malta is in a green box, which indicates that the West has the advantage. So that gives them control of the objective. If that marker were to move over into one of the dark gray boxes, the objective control would return to the Axis. So at the start of play, the Soviets have 4 objectives and the Western Allies have 5. And so the West has a 1 victory point advantage at the moment. So the number of victory points is always the comparison of objective ownership. If during the game it swings to 10 in one side's favor, the game immediately ends. That is very rare. Usually the game goes until later in the game when most of the objectives have been taken, and there's a comparison when Berlin falls, who has the most at that point. There's a couple other ways that it can happen, but that's the primary way. And then we see way over in the lower right-hand corner are some cards on display. Those are the event cards, and it's a strategic event that happens every so often as the markers move along the initiative track. And there's 3 displayed at one time because the cards have an individual event on each card that happens when the card's in the middle, but the cards move along the track from right to left. And the 3 combined indicate for us air power in the game. Right now, if you look at all three cards, you'll see that there are two Western Allied airplanes. That means there are two Allied air units on the map. There is one Soviet air unit on the map, and there is one East German air unit on the map. That could also be a West German unit, but in this case, it's East German. So at the moment, if you were to look at the map, you would see four air units of those colors. And as these move along, the air units change, as well as triggering specific events and action card draws by the player. In this scenario, the players start with action cards in hand, and we'll see some of that card play in a moment.
Do you want me to show my hand of cards?
Sure.
I'll look away. I'll avert my eyes.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. So Fred is playing the Soviets and the Germans in the West. So his cards are randomly drawn. He's starting with cards that are called headquarter cards. They're cards that are specific kind of actions that can be played for advantages in certain situations. We'll take a closer look at these as we get into the turns. But the draw of these cards, if we can go back to the map, is determined when one of these strategic event cards first appears on the right, in the right side. The players draw cards based on what's shown. So when this card that Fred is highlighting first appeared, the West got to draw an action card. When the card in the middle had first appeared as the previous event, every side got to draw an action card. So that determines the rate in the game at which action cards appear. And now...
sorry about that. I had a small technical issue.
But I think I've said enough about the map overall. Why don't we dive into play? And
let's play.
Go.
Great.
Maybe I guess
one thing that I would like to discuss is there is a really good comment here from Pierre talking about the art and the layout. And I think it would be nice just before we start playing to talk about what was the graphic design process, because I know that Chad was actually doing a lot of the art himself. And I just wanted to maybe for you to explain what came from Chad's late design and what was updated afterwards to come up with that final product, you could say.
Yes, well, as you may know, Chad was an excellent graphic designer in his own right. And when I started working on this game in, I don't know, when was it, 2020, I guess, the map you see, and well, you would see if it was up, the map you see is basically the map that Chad had already created to this level of finish. Likewise with the counters and the event cards. That look and the details of his approach to the terrain were already set in place and already executed. Now, as the game neared publication, Kai and I gave all the files to Mark Simonich, and he did some refinements. There were some corrections based on the development the game had gone through in the meantime, but Mark stayed with most of Chad's design decisions and execution on the map and the counters and the cards. The cards were done by Charlie Kibler in their final form, and Mark the counters. But basically, this is Chad's work, and I'm very pleased we were able to keep it in the final.
Great. But that's amazing. I think we can probably start playing and start moving things around so people can get a hold of how are things going. And we'll be starting with the Western Allies.
Yes.
And maybe before we start playing, I just want to remind everyone that if you want to support the show, you can click like, you can subscribe to the channel, but also you should find a link for donating on Ko-fi if you want to support the show also financially to help me potentially buy some material to do some physical streams in the future, because we tried to do this with Liz from Beyond Solitaire earlier last week with Tidico. It was a disaster, and I think I need to invest in some material so we can actually stream properly when we're playing physical games and not playing on Vassal like we're playing here. So keep that in mind, support the show, that would be greatly appreciated. And thanks for everything. So, Joe, you are at the bottom of the initiative track, so you can make a decision.
So what I need to choose, and this hasn't been mentioned yet, is from these chits here. So there's, I'm not sure if there it is. These chits over here were drawn at random from a cup, and this is what's available to me. And I don't have any reserved actions, so I need to take one of these. Now, me and John had already come up with a scheme to just launch a big surprise attack on Fred. But unfortunately, none of the correct chits are available to my Western allies. So all I can choose from is mechanize. Mechanize and recruit. And I think I'm going to take the mechanize option.
Well, you have another option of putting it in planning.
Or I could put it in planning. I think it might be worth...
Let's back up a little bit
and
take a look at the track for the Western orders that's in the lower left corner of the board.
I suppose planning would mean I would keep good initiative in case something else good comes up.
Can you zoom in on that part? And we'll also look at the strategic situation where the West is situated. So this track holds order markers that as players play them, and when the track is empty, it means those orders haven't yet been played and are in the action cup or on that action track that we were just referring to. So at the moment, actually, I'm not seeing the track right now. It's covered by Marty Sample. Hi, Marty. So on this track right now, it's empty except for one order's already been played. The scenario begins a little ways into the third turn, so it's assumed that the West already played and resolved a strategic warfare order. That's the marker that's been placed in the rightmost box of this track. All the other boxes represent orders that will be available to the West over the course of the turn, some of which are on the action track now. But if they're not on the action track, the West can't select them at the moment. So as Joe pointed out, he's only got 2 Western orders available. This is a very bad luck draw for the West.
John's given me a good idea though. So I could use this mechanized to put in planning, which would only cost me 1 initiative, I believe, rather than the 15 it normally would.
So,
but
you would still pay the 15 if you played from initiative in the future.
Later on. But it means I can then wait and see, because this is refilled each turn, so and I can wait and see what's going to come up next, and then might be able to seize on a good opportunity.
So in Vassal, how do you take a...
I think you right-click and
send to planning. Do it here. So I'm going to send to planning, and that will automatically, that should have moved down, and then that will have moved my initiative marker up 1. That's in planning, and then at the top. So there's now 2 initiative markers in the same box, and John can probably help us by saying what happens then. So there's West and...
yes, so
WWII.
Every time there's a movement in the initiative marker, you then look and see who has the initiative next. And if they're in the same box, the faction on the bottom has the initiative.
Okay. So that's me as well. It's OKH. Yep.
So that means OKH. So that would also be Joe.
That's me again. And I've got some options here. So it's worth noting, some of these are double-sided. So this one here is command confusion, either for one of the German forces. And there's some others further up I could take. So I could take a recruit, or I could take another command confusion, or I could take a material shortages, which is kind of similar in concept to command confusion. The other 2 are just OKW orders. So I'm going to take this lowest command confusion, which is just...
You don't have anything in your planning?
I don't know. I could put the command confusion in planning, but I think I'm probably better off just playing it, and then that might give a good action to my Western allies as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm gonna play this. That just cost me 2 initiative, and then I believe it adds a D6 roll to
So
Fred's.
command confusion, that order, you roll one 6-sided die, and then OKW will lose initiative equal to the roll of that die. But you have to spend initiative to play that order, right?
I did, yeah, but
yeah.
But I'm more interested in getting my Western allies going, so it's not too bad. It's only 2 initiative. So I'll roll a D6, Fred, and I got a result of 3, and then I can just press some nifty buttons up here to increase your initiative by 3.
And that would trigger an event.
And that has triggered an event. Yep.
What was that beeping?
So that's in Vassal. Yeah, in Vassal. So I realized that for some of Chad's game, there is a sound effect. So people in the stream wouldn't hear it. But if we're playing, for example, Combat Commander, you would also have those sound effects. And for when specific things happen, you have a sound effect reminding the players that they need to do something. And this is the sound effect for event pending.
So when Joe rolled the D6 and advanced the OKW marker along the track, meaning OKW, their first turn will be delayed, the marker happened to pass the OKW event space of the track. That's the dark gray box, just 2 spaces back now of the OKW marker. When you cross an event space, an event is initiated. And so the faction controlling the marker that crossed the event space, in this case, that's Fred, as he controls the OKW, they do the event. So I think in Vassal, there's
I can send to draw deck the one that is in the Discord, I guess.
No, I think there's a button up top that's called Resolve Event.
Oh yeah, right.
That will move it all along automatically. Yeah.
So
where is it?
I can press it if you want.
Oh yeah, no, I see it. I'm gonna click it. That's fine.
Wow. Let's see if it works.
Yep. Yeah, it does work.
Okay, so what happened here is the high command event moved from the middle box to the left, and the United Nations moved from the draw pile box on the right to the center. In the event procedure, and then there's a card that summarizes that, you first move these cards, and now you immediately look at the airplanes and see if anything has to change. There are we're showing 2 Western airplanes.
Before we move along, there is one thing that we need to point out, is that we should have added 1 to Joe's die roll. So yeah, that was
right. From the high command. That's a place of all German die rolls.
Yeah. So you should increase my.
Good catch.
Yeah. So that goes 1
higher. Bob Heinzman pointed that out. Leave it to
good.
Bob. He keeps an eye on these things.
And then I need to get rid of 1 OKH aircraft, because that was what's
because now there's the OKH aircraft that was on the card that's now covered up. That airplane is lost. So this is helpful to the Soviets, because now the Soviets are the only on the East Front. They have the only airplane for air superiority. So that's like step 2 of the event process. Next, we actually read the event on the card now in the middle. I'll read it out. It says, if there are 6 or more Western partisans in play, there aren't. I think there are 2.
No, there aren't.
There's very few partisans in play.
I think this just for Yugoslavia.
Partisan looks like that.
It's in Yugoslavia. Oh, there's one there. Yeah, there's some.
There is one here, and
there's one in Poland.
One Yugoslav. Oh, there's one Poland, and there's one Yugoslav.
Yeah.
So getting back to the event, if that is not the case, then otherwise, whichever faction controls more objectives at the moment than the other gets to, if it's turn 1 through 4, right now it's turn 3, that faction gets to draw an action card into their hand.
And that could be Joe.
Which side has more?
I do by 1, so I'll do that.
Okay. Yep. So you get to draw an action card for the Western faction.
Done that.
So partisans are important not only to help you in combat and to sometimes control things, but if one side gets too many partisans, it's a way to win the game early through kind of a political victory. And per this event card, that's when you would make that check. So now that we've resolved that event, we now reveal the next pending event. So I guess it's a flip. Okay.
2 more cards for Joe.
Wow.
Yep.
So this is Mediterranean dominance. But now this event doesn't happen yet. It happens when the card moves to the middle, but it gives the players a preview of what is coming up. But in the meantime, we immediately again update airplanes. So the Soviets gain an airplane and the West gains an airplane. So they now can take an airplane from their force pool and place it anywhere on the board that is an in-supply hex with either a rail or a city. And with the airplanes represents air power over a range of 4 hexes from the unit in the case of a standard airplane. So if you have, you may consider where to place it based on where you might be planning offensives, because the side that has more airplanes in range of a given combat will have air superiority and an advantage in combat. So the Soviets have placed theirs, I see, and the West needs to place one as well.
I'm putting one in Tunis, which may trigger naval interception.
You're putting one where?
In Tunis. Would it be Tunis? North Africa.
Yeah, that would be Tunis. But
Tunis,
there is already one in Tunis.
You already have
there's one. There's one next to Tunis. I don't know anywhere else particularly useful to place them right now. Anyway, but
yeah. Well, you could put it in Europe just to make the Germans think.
Yeah, because you already have.
Can I put them in? Okay, so I can put one in the.
Because you have one in Tunis and one.
Not Europe, but in the UK.
In the UK, okay, I'll put it in the UK. There we go. So RAF Bryce Norton, no RAF. That's great.
Okay, and then the last thing on that event card that was just revealed, as I said earlier, when the event card's first revealed there on the right, it'll show action cards, and in this case, it shows 2 Western action cards. So the West is really loading up on action cards now, since they also got one.
I think you did. You draw it? Did you draw
I
them
drew
already?
those.
Yeah,
I got
okay.
those. Yep.
Yeah.
So I have some good options now. So that's the event procedure done. And that's
the end of the event procedure.
I think I can launch my huge invasion now. So let's see.
Oh, whose turn is it?
It's me again because I reserved that mechanize order.
Cool.
I'm back in, and I've got my options now because I can use this command counter here.
Wait a minute. You need to refresh the.
Yes, every time a marker's taken, the markers move down the track and a new one appears at the top.
Yeah, great. So this is going to give me a good option now. So I can.
So the West has the initiative right now?
Yeah. Yes, and I have a great choice.
Okay.
So I can take this command counter here, and I can use that for any redeploy or attack order. I think, is that right?
Yes, paying its cost.
Yeah, any operations. Yeah.
Yeah. So that HQ flag is kind of a wild command order marker. You can use it for any
of the operations that you can
operational order. An operational order is one where you're going to either move or fight with things, as opposed to more strategic things like recruiting or strategic warfare or partisan warfare, that sort of thing. You could not use the HQ for those.
So I'm going to use it. Go
on. No, go ahead.
I was going to use it for the redeploy 3 attack 2 order, which will let me redeploy with motorized, airborne, and armor, and then attack in 2 spaces. And I have some cards which will make this useful, as I think John
you're doing redeploy attack or attack redeploy?
I think I'll do redeploy attack because I think I can. I'll put my cards on the table so we can talk this through. I've got naval dominance here, which will. Is that there? Yeah, there you go. Which will let me place a beachhead down and then flip it to a mold. Well, and move a unit there actually straight away.
Well, let's do the initiative spend first.
Okay. Okay, that's fine, and then we'll get to what I'm doing. So
you have to pay 1 extra.
Yeah, so that's going to be 10 initiative.
Yeah,
And the reason he has to pay one extra is that if there's markers that you're able to take ahead of the one that you do take, you have to pay an additional initiative.
So one more, which puts me on event 2. But we don't do that until the end.
Not yet. Yeah.
So yeah, then I play naval dominance, which I play at the start of my order.
Can we see your whole hand or not?
He's being very secretive.
I'm being very secretive, but I have another one I'm going to want to play as well. I don't think Fred can
let's
show.
talk about the sequence here. So Joe has just played an order marker and paid for it. So it's now the beginning of an order. And he's about to play a card that says every action card gives you a condition during which you can play it. And here it says play at the start of any Western order. So go ahead.
I
don't know who's behind the GMT Games account. I don't know if it's Rachel, Luke, or Jean, but I would say hi anyway to any of the Billingsleys that might be behind this.
Okay, so I found my beachhead marker. I was looking for that.
Can you zoom in more on this area so the card is bigger? Or
you could zoom in much more on the area if you wanted. So I'll put the beachhead here. Oh no, it's hidden now. Sorry. It's not where it's going, but I'll put it there for now. Okay. So I can place an available beachhead, paying the transport cost -1, and the transport cost is depending on where I'm placing it. I think, is that right? It's the
yes, those hexes with the blue the blue circle number. Those are potential beachhead locations. So you can place a beachhead marker in any of those, but you have to pay the cost, the transport cost listed.
And the transport costs are tracked over on the VP track. I think I've got 8 of them now. And you gain them by doing strategic warfare, I believe.
Yes. So this is turn 3. So the West had a couple of turns to build up their transport. Transport is used and only used for placing beachheads.
With naval dominance, it's -1, so I only have to pay 2 transport points there. And then I have I'm placing my beachhead, I think, on this apparently undefended Sicilian beach. Is my plan here.
Right, so that beachhead is pointing to
here.
that hex. So that's where a unit placed on the beachhead would be able to move to or attack.
And then I can move a unit there, indeed. So I will move this British armored unit over there. And that's crossing through the central Mediterranean, but it doesn't get intercepted because of the naval dominance.
So the naval dominance card, Joe could take any unit that's in a port in the same sea area as the beachhead and place it on the beachhead. All as a part of this card play.
So I've done that. Let me just check this other card. Cool. Then what am I doing? I'm doing that and that. So that's there. Then I can flip this to its Mulberry port side, which is basically just a normal port, just a regular port now with no disadvantages, I believe. You can see that there, Fred, underneath it.
Yeah.
So that's a Mulberry port now.
Yes. So it's a permanent Mulberry port, Mulberry Harbor. It acts as a port and can't be removed from play.
And then finally, so that gets discarded. I'm going to play a second start of turn card though, which is naval assets. So naval assets lets me relocate a Western unit in a port to another friendly port here, and the same sea. Now, unfortunately, my order only lets me use armor, airborne, and motorized, not. So what I wanted to do on the previous turn to build up slower, perhaps would have been to upgrade this 7th US division to armored, which is in Tunis, but I haven't been able to do that. But nonetheless, I will move them into the port as well. So I'm well prepared there to hold this position.
You can't do that.
Can I not?
That's an overstack.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Thanks, John. So I'll just send the other British unit in then. Yeah. So that's a good time to talk about stacking. So the stacking limit is two counters,
2 counters
and maximum 6
pips. So for folks new to the game, The counters, the units in downfall have strength between 1 and 4, indicated by the pips across the top of the unit. And then as they take losses, they lose pips, and as they take replacements, they gain pips up to the maximum shown on the counter.
I'm just going to show on a physical counter what it looks like, because you can see them on the top of the vessel module, but just for people to understand how it works. So you basically have, does it work?
It's not focusing very well.
It's not focusing very well. Like, give me a sec. I'm gonna try to do it.
Fred's just trying to get pity points here, so you pay him.
There you go.
So this is that would be on 3 pips. That would be on 4. This would be on 1. So a bit like a block game, but you just have to lay it flat and be consistent in the way you position things, and it would indicate what's the strength of the particular unit. And this one also have an elite bonus just here.
Yep. Okay. So that's all of my special card play. I've got one other card, but I don't think I want to use it right now.
Merci, Julia.
Yeah, that's fine. Then I will. Could use it now, actually, but never mind. I'll move on. I can then move. So I've got a move 3 with motorized, airborne, and armor. That means I can.
Can you show the
Fred, can you show
marker?
That? Yeah. It's this one here.
What do you want me to show you?
What you could do, Fred.
On my operations track, it's just this one.
Oh yeah. I was showing it earlier just to indicate to show what are the types of units that you can move. That is at the bottom.
If you open up the pack,
that's true.
Button, we can see the order pack, and
that would be very good on
it
page
even
1.
describes it. The one called
exactly.
So Western orders. It's this. That's the one, and it says it's redeploy 3 and attack 2. So you activate all motorized, airborne, and armored units for movement of 3. That's like 3 movement points each, and then you activate all units of that to attack. But you must use one of the depicted type as a primary attacker. So you have motorized, airborne, and armor. So leg infantry would not be activated by this order, whereas other orders do activate those.
But you managed to move 1 thanks to your event.
I managed to move 1 in anyway, and then I can. So this armor unit, this British armor unit, I can immediately move in here. It won't be able to move further for multiple reasons. So the zones of control from these 2 will prevent it moving. Yes. And I think armor can't move into mountains anyway, unless it's on a railway.
Well, they can, but not in severe weather. Not in winter. Okay. Well, that's just a hill. No, they would never be
the mountains of a snowy region.
But the Zocs, they can't. They can't go from Zoc directly to Zoc or across.
So they're stuck there now, and I don't have much other motorized or armor, but I do have 1 airborne here in Tunis. I'm trying to just get it to the top of the stack. There we go. I could move that in, but it can actually assist an attack from where it is potentially. But I could move it in to show potentially some naval stuff. Because you can move up to 4 pips of units by sea during a redeploy. Is that correct?
Up to 6 total, okay. But within stacking limits to a particular destination.
Yeah. Okay, I'll move that in to through to the harbour there then. Is that correct? How it moves, just to show some naval movement.
So this is a regular naval.
Naval, regular.
Bob's pointing out that there's no naval allowed in this order because
so you can only do naval movement
depiction on the order.
Great.
Some order markers have anchor, which indicates that things can move by sea.
So you can only move units by sea if there's naval on the order.
Yeah, that's right.
Great. That's fine. That makes things simpler anyway. So I'm in position for my attack now then. And the attack 2 there means I can do 2 attacks with any of those units as the...
Yes, but a single unit can only attack once.
Yeah, and I've only got 1 unit really which can attack anyway. So I will be attacking with this armored unit against this German Festung in Palermo.
The German fort troop. Okay.
Yep. And I think that will work fine. So I'll put an attack marker just so we know what's happening there. They're the one doing the attack into there. And then we can maybe bring up the battle back and begin looking through
Yeah,
it.
let's look at that and
Just work through it.
go through that sequence. It's no, it's called
one, I think. Yeah.
Then combat here.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
So Joe has declared combat. That's in step 1, and he's got 1 unit attacking. If he had other units adjacent to that enemy, they could participate, but he doesn't have any. So the second step is to play action cards related to combat.
I do actually have one. I believe my airborne unit can flank, I believe, from 2 hexes away. Is that right?
Oh, that's correct. You can use your airborne unit, right? So an airborne unit can participate from 2 hexes away, but if it does, after the combat, it goes into the force pool and has to be rebought.
That's fine. I'll use it now. I think it's a good time.
Maybe it's worth it at this point. Yep. So you have your primary unit with 4 steps, and you have a flanking unit, and a flanking unit's worth 1 regardless of the number of steps it has. Yep. The second step is to play action cards. So first, the active player, that's Joe, will has a chance to play a headquarters card specifically.
I'm going to play one which will be visible on the map now, which is Alexander's 18th, which will give me, so it's a headquarters card, I'll get 1 pip bonus and a +1 die bonus, I believe.
Okay, now the Germans in the West have an opportunity, if they have one and wish to play it, a headquarters card. And a headquarters card is indicated by the headquarters flag in the upper left corner.
Yeah, I would not play any headquarter card.
Okay, then, then next, the active player gets to play other action cards that are related to combat, if he has any that he wants.
I'm going to play 1 armored infantry card. Really going.
Okay, this is going to strengthen your attack, and we'll add all that up in a minute. Does the West German want to play anything?
Nope, they won't.
Okay. So then on to step 3 is to actually calculate combat strengths. So the British armored unit is a 4. The flanking unit will give it another 1. That's 5. And the HQ card has a pip symbol on it. So that's 6. And then there are bonuses for having more elite units. The West is using the airborne unit, which is elite, so they have more stars than the Germans. So there's a strength point for that. And
7.
You also get a strength point just for being Western. So that's
8.
That's 8. And I have armor, so I get an extra +1, I believe.
Armor, yes, and also for armor, you get 1 for that. So that's 9.
Yep.
Okay, and then the West German defend with 2. Do they get +1 when they're
They get +1 for being German.
Yeah, so that's 3.
Yeah.
And then just on the terrain, what terrain are they on? Nothing specific.
Well, there's a port that gives them 1.
Okay, so that they are at 4. 4 to 9, that's a difference of so 4 to 9, that's a difference of 5.
So that's not okay. So then looking at the land combat table, it's a differential table. So you're on the +5 column, but now there's also die modifiers.
And the weather is fair, so that's going to be a +3 to your die roll modifier.
+3 from my cards. You don't have a fortress. If your Festung had been flipped over, become a fortress, you'd have a bonus from that, but it hasn't.
Right.
So they're not properly entrenched yet. I also have air superiority from the aircraft in Malta, so I get an extra +2. So I believe I have +5 on the die roll.
Yep.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, +5. So it's 5 column +5. This is a very strong attack.
Yep. and then I just roll 2d6. So I'll do that. I got 5 plus 5
10.
is 10. So that was overkill. The 5 alone would have been enough. That would have defeated 3 German units and one of mine.
But you do get a step loss.
I do get a step loss for attacking too much. That's right. But you're not going to be able to retreat.
The result was 1/4G.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct.
So looking at losses, these are hits. So the Germans take 4 hits. However, the little g means if you're German and it's before turn 7, you take 1 less. So the Germans have to satisfy 3 hits. And if they could retreat, they could satisfy up to half their hits rounded up by retreating, because they could retreat 2 hexes, but they can't retreat because there's motion in every direction except that 1 hex, and you cannot retreat into a zone of enemy zone of control. So he's stuck taking the step losses, and he only has 2 steps, and he has to satisfy 3 hits. So he's eliminated.
Mm-hmm. I do also have to take 1 on my.
And yes, now when you attack with armor,
they flip.
The attacker's first hit must be to lose the armor.
Yeah, that just flips.
And in this game, many units have 2 sides. They're armored on one side and non-armored on the other. And so when you take a hit by losing armor, you don't lose a step, you lose the armor. And so that's what's happened here.
So I just flipped it to its reverse side.
Successful attack, except that now the armored forces have been depleted. And now that the losses have been applied, you could advance if you want to.
I'm not sure I do want to advance, because I'm currently locking in that Italian unit fairly effectively where I am. And I'm kind of protecting Palermo by the Zoc through Messina anyway, so I'll stay where I am. But there was one question just before we wrap this up I want to comment on a few minutes ago about why the Mulberry port is kind of floating. Mulberry Harbour is out at sea, and this is something I was confused by initially looking at the map, but it's quite helpful. And really, what we're looking at here is just a kind of magnifying glass zooming in on lots of action going on right here. So it's just a way to have a space to store units that haven't yet.
An overfill box.
And if I was attacking here, for instance, it would have been much more important, because then I would have been not on land yet, trying to get onto land, and stuck out at sea until I cracked through that first unit. And as it turns out, it wasn't so important here, but it's a helpful way to depict the kind of process of the landing.
Yeah, I would say that once a beachhead marker or a mulberry is placed in a C hex, it's no longer a C hex.
Yeah.
It's like it's a spit of land with all the units on it, and so the land hex that it's facing is kind of the inland area. If we look at northern France for a moment, you can see that almost every hex along the north coast of France is eligible to be invaded. So there's potential beach hexes. They're where beachheads can be placed and hold invading units, while the enemy can still be opposing them on land.
This, I'm just going to clean up from this. So this Alexander's 18th AG, I think, gets removed from the game now because there are no access units.
Special note on
it. I'll manage that. That goes up to. Let's see. I'm just going to drag this out, and then I'll put the 15th into my deck instead, which goes in. Does it go to the deck? Yep, into the draw pile. Yep.
And you need to put your airborne unit in the force pool.
So that goes to the force pool. Great. And then I can clean up, because I've got no other attacks to do now. So that's fine. And then we will fill the action track. And then I also need to resolve an event.
So where are you on the initiative track now?
So it's finally going to be the Soviets.
I'm right on 21. Yeah, right on 21 there.
Okay, right. So when you trigger an event such as happened here, the event is resolved after everything else in the order is resolved.
Yep. I'll press the event button. resolve event, and then in the vassal module, there's actually a helpful kind of checklist that pops up at the top. So firstly, we remove.
good.
I think it's a Soviet air unit that gets removed.
We're down to 2 Western and 1 Soviet. Yeah.
Yep. So Fred needs to get rid of one of those, and then we do the new current event. So Italy is an Axis country. The West does not control Messina. So actually, if a mainland. So no, that wouldn't have worked. If I had managed to move into Messina, then I would get this, but it doesn't trigger then.
Yes, that would have been dramatic.
That would have been great, actually. Yeah, soon. Bad timing, actually. There wasn't a way I could have done that though, because I couldn't move through that bit anyway. Yeah.
Right. So Joe's comment of bad timing is very relevant with these event cards, because this deck of event cards cycles through every complete game turn. So this Mediterranean dominance will come up at some point every turn. If it happened to come up after Joe had taken Messina, Italy would have surrendered. But it came up before, so Joe's going to have to wait a cycle for another chance for Italy to surrender. That's one of the kind of the chaos aspects of this game, and what makes it such a fun game to play.
Yeah. Then I flip the next event over, which has got no aircraft on it, but it does have 1 card for every action. So we each get to draw 1 card. And that's it. So we then move on to the first Soviet turn, I believe.
Well, what was the card?
It's one. It's the supply action is coming up. Supply event.
But every faction right now gets to draw a card.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So we've all done that now. Yeah. Okay. And then it's Fred's turn. Fred's got lots of. Oh, he's only got 2 orders to choose from actually. But
yeah, I don't have. Yeah, and I'm gonna. And I'm gonna give you the initiative straight after for the East Front. So okay, what are my options here? Let's have a look. So I could do 3 attacks with shock units and armored units, or I could do 3 moves.
Is it the Soviets?
Yeah, it's the Soviets' turn.
Okay.
And I think I'm gonna attack. I have a couple of pretty good options here to attack. So I'm gonna definitely do this. So I'm gonna click this, and I'm going to activate pay initiative and send to order display. So that's that. That puts me just on top of my others faction initiative track, but that's okay. And I can do 3 attacks. I'm just going to check my...
Point out on the East Front, this is at the moment right before the Kursk campaign started. There's a Kursk salient built into the front line.
It's here, I guess. Yep.
So the Soviet hand here.
Yeah, do you want me to bring back the hand? Yeah.
I just wanted to see, you didn't have anything you can play at the start of an order, right? These all.
No, I have nothing.
These are all combat related. Okay, so these will be useful when you actually resolve your combats. Okay.
Yeah. But yes, that's I will check. I think there is one that I cannot use, but that's going to be fine. I can use the others. I think there is something that is ripe for maybe breaching the front here. So I'm going to do my first attack here. So I'm going to place an attack marker. I'm going to attack with that shock unit. So I'm going to place an attack marker here. And I believe that even if they are not on the counter, I can use all the other ones as flanking units.
What's on the counter?
So on the counter, I have shock and armor.
Yes, so one of those has to be the lead unit. You have to have at least one of those as the lead unit in your attack, and then any
that's
other
going to be this one. Participate. Okay, I'm going to place the attack marker here, and I'm going to place the attack marker here. So that means that I have 3 with that shock unit. I have 3 flanking units, so that puts it up to 6. Shock unit gives me +1, so that's 7. And I also have more elite units, so that puts me at 8. And I believe Joe is at 4 for now.
3 from the unit, +1 for being German.
And then you are also...
and in a city. 3 for the unit, 1 for being German, and 1 for being in a city.
Yes.
So you're at 6.
5.
5, yeah, sorry.
Fred, you're trying very hard there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play the Volkov front card as an HQ card.
Yep.
And now I'm gonna ask you, do you want to play a card, Joe?
Let me just think.
At first, it's an option to play a HQ card.
Yeah, so I started with my HQ card, so it's back to Joe to see if you, and we can only play one of those, but any battle cards.
Yeah. So what are the odds right now? You're on 9 now.
So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
You're just on 8.
9. So I'm gonna be on 10.
Is the
So I have
there's
3 for the
no,
starting one, 3 flanking, so 6.
Mhm.
1 for the shock, 7. 1 for elite, 8.
Yep.
And then +1 for the HQ. Yeah, so 9. Yeah, sorry.
9 total. Okay. Tricky. I just think about what I want to do next, but I think I can get away with this. So I'm going to play this card here, Army Group South, which gives me 2 more pips up to 7, and a +1 die roll as well.
Okay, and I'm gonna play
+1 die roll doesn't. On your HQ.
Oh yeah, on Army Group South. Yeah, that's right. On the HQ. Yep.
So now the Soviets can play any other combat cards they want.
Yeah, I'm gonna play Artillery Division.
Mm-hmm.
So that's gonna give me a +2 to my die roll for +3 total.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have air superiority,
and I do not have air superiority here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's 1 too far away. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine for me. No cards for me. Yep.
Okay, so let's calculate the odds. I was at 9 against your
7.
To your 7, so I'm at +2, and then our +1 -1 negates them each other, so I'm at +2. Is there any other modifier from the weather? We are in fair, so nothing changes. Do I have
no other changes? No.
You don't have any armor in your attack?
No. Oh no, you don't.
No, I don't. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's +2 +2, right? If I'm
yes. Yeah, okay. That's right.
So let's roll 2 dice. So that's 8 at +2. 8 at +2 is 1 for me and 2G.
Which is just 1 for me because I'm German.
Becomes a 1/1. So
so I could negate that by retreating.
By either taking a step or retreating.
I think this unit's actually pretty crucial there in this city, which is, what city is this? Smolensk. So I'm gonna just take the hit there. Fine.
So you take the hit, and I can take the hit on any unit, right?
Yes, you don't have armor, so you can give the hit to anybody.
So I'm gonna decrease this one.
If you had an armor unit, it would have to take the hit.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so that's this for this one. So I'm gonna discard this and discard that.
Yeah. John, can I ask you about that rule about armor needing to be flipped first? So is the idea here that armor has kind of limited capacity, that you need to refuel and maybe re-equip and fix some of the armor and things like this after battles quite often?
Yes, and you have points, you have orders and sometimes events that help you rebuild your armor. But the idea is that an army, even though it's called like a tank army, is only actually a small percentage of it is tanks. It's mostly infantry and other vehicles and things like that. So when you do an offensive operation, you're using armored spearheads, and they take the brunt of the.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a nice way of showing that without having loads of tiny armor counters or something like this. It's neat. Yeah.
Okay, I'm tempted to do something else, just because the supply is going to come up. So I think I'm going to attack this unit, and I'm going to attack with those 2 stacks.
Where are you looking? What
down in the south. On the Donetsk.
What does supply have to do with it?
Because I'm thinking that if I occupy this, oh no, we can still trade supply through here.
I can, yeah. You wouldn't. I mean, you're getting closer to surrounding me, but not quite. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna try.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes, please do.
This guy.
This one was already planned for the 3rd attack. So
your third attack. Okay.
yeah, because I have 3 attacks. I wanted to keep the good one for the last attack.
I have plans for that guy.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's gonna die. He's gonna be
so.
obliterated. I'm still gonna attack here because I want to start this movement around Stalino. Hopefully, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
So I attack here. So I have 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not sure if it's doable actually, because you're gonna be +2 because of the forest.
That's true. Yeah, to my defense. Yep.
Do I want to do that? Not sure.
And German as well, so I'd be on and elite on it, but you've got more elite.
Yeah, I'm gonna have more units from the other side of the Donets, so I won't have the penalty here, but still.
Yep.
So you're gonna be at 6, and I'm gonna be at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus the air 7. That's not enough. That's like a +1. I think it's a bit tough.
You're an 8. The Soviets are an 8, right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Because you get 1 for every armor unit. You have 2.
I get 1 for every. Oh, okay. So yeah.
Oh, it's per armored unit. Yeah, you're on 8.
Oh, okay. So then I'm definitely doing this.
8 against 6.
Yeah.
And you have air power.
And I have air power.
Yes.
So I'm going to do this. So that's going to be So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I add 8 for the air power, and 9 because
the
I
air
have
power is a die modifier.
Oh, it's a die modifier.
Yeah.
So it's 8 overall.
And I'm on 6. So 3 for the Germans, +1 because they're German, and +2 from the forest.
And I'm going to play an HQ.
Okay, so that puts you on 9 with an extra +1. I won't play any HQ.
Okay, and I won't play any combat card.
Neither will I. So it's a straight roll on the +3 column.
So +3 column, and I have actually +2 on the die roll modifier for air, and so I'm a +2 on the
air is +2, and the other modifiers +2.
Oh, so I'm at +3. Yeah. So that's 4 + 3, 7. So that's not great. And I was on the +3 table, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And it's a 1, 2.
Okay. What do I have here? Is it armor?
Yeah.
So you could take it by flipping, or by taking a step,
that's right. Yeah.
or by retreating.
Do I need to flip, or is it only for the attacker?
Hits, right?
Yeah, 2 hits.
2 hits.
So you could retreat 1 and then take the other by flipping, or
I'm going to flip and then take 1 hit actually, because that forest is quite a good position. Yeah, it's a very good position to defend. Otherwise, I think I'm gonna and also I'll do that. I have a plan.
Okay, and I have to take a hit on one of my armor units.
Can I? An armor, yeah.
Yeah, yes. I'm gonna flip it. Yeah, flip this one. Okay. So that's my second attack, and then I have a third attack, and the third attack is going to be here.
Okay.
So I'm going to place an attack marker, place an attack marker, place an attack marker, place an attack marker, place an attack marker. Okay, so let's calculate the odds here. So I start with a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have more elites, so that's 9. I have 3 armored, so that's 12. So that's 12 to your 4, but you have 1 for being in a city and 1 for being German.
Yes,
so that's 6 to 12. So that's a net +6, and I have 1 +2 DRM, and I'm not going to play any. I'm not going to play any HQ card.
Neither me.
And I'm not going to play any combat card.
So it's a +6 +2?
Yeah, +6 +2.
Yeah.
So that's 8. So that's 10 on the +6. 10 4. On the +6 is 4, straight 4. Yeah.
Okay. And I can reduce that to. Oh, I've got armor there, don't I? So
you cannot retreat.
Yeah, they are both in zones of control. Yeah. So they are. You don't negate with units when retreating.
I can flip
friendly
and
units
then take.
Don't negate for purposes of retreat.
Yeah.
So you flip and take 3 steps.
Yeah. So you haven't broken through. That's a good thing.
Was that an armored unit?
Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay.
Yeah, it's where it was. I just flipped it now.
Okay, so that was my order, my 3 attacks. So I'm going to click on the cleanup.
Yep.
Boop. And it's all cleaned. And Niels is asking if only attacker must flip armor. But it's a must. That's but right. you still may as a defender, right?
You may as a defender, but you don't need to.
Yeah. Okay, great. But that was my round. So fit to width, and we go back to you, Joe.
Yeah. So look, if you zoom in on the track
actually,
there,
you're on the weather counter.
So the weather marker, if the weather marker is in the space or even in a lower space than the side that currently has the initiative, you pause to make a weather roll. And so Joe controls the OKH, so he would make the weather roll, and it will advance. You roll a 2d6 to advance it. So if you want to go ahead and do that.
So there's a slightly automated way. I'm just going to press the button and then it moves forward 5. I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So that means we're still in period 1.
Yeah, we're not changing weather. It would have changed on initiative 31.
Yeah, it would actually stay there anyway.
How the weather moves up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Great. Now I have an excellent time planned with my Germans. So.
Oh, wait a minute. When I did the, I'm gonna clean up the orders because I thought I did that.
Nope.
Oh, wait a minute. How do I refresh the order cup?
There's a button that says
reset
track.
Yeah,
not receive. Action. Don't hit receive.
Yeah. I filled it. It's all good.
Okay. So what are your choices here?
Well, I've got a sneaky plan. I'm gonna do this. So my choices, there's a lot of orders over there. I think I'm gonna do something different before I take one of these though. So I'm gonna play a blitz campaign from my hand here.
Oh.
Which will give me a few options. Down in Ukraine.
Okay.
So this card says on its situation, play when you have the initiative, which Joe does, but before you pick an order marker. So this will give Joe a free order and won't move his initiative. And then he will still have the initiative to do an order.
Mm-hmm. And actually, one timing thing I saw people discussing recently is when you have these free orders as such, you're then still eligible to play a different card that says at the start of an order. If I happen to have one.
Yes. So if you had a card that said play at the start of an order, you could do that.
I don't in this case, but I think it's. Oh, well, I do actually, but I'm not going to. Well, maybe I could use it. No, I'm gonna. Yeah, I will actually do that as well because it's going to be important for this. So I'm also going to play strategic movement here, which lets me move one of my units a long way. And what I want to do, I'm trying to think about what I can afford to move here. That's quite well defended. Yeah, so I'm going to move this 12th division from down on the coast. Using only sea areas and friendly rail zones. It can't enter. Oh, it cannot enter enemy zone of control. That's annoying.
Yeah, it's a strategic move. So, like in most hex and counter game, you usually cannot enter.
Yes.
But this one you could leave an Izok, which is more permissive, which is nice.
Yeah. I think only sea areas and friendly rail lines. Okay. So that may not be so useful right now. What I want to do, just to talk through what I'm thinking about here, is I'm going to do a blitz attack with this 4th Panzer here, and I want to try and leave them less, like not so likely to get surrounded. But I might need to do that with a move action instead in a minute. So which I don't actually have available. So maybe I don't need to do that because how far can you move along railways normally? Any distance?
As far as you want with strategic move.
Yeah, with strategic movement, it's infinite. Yeah.
Okay.
As long as it's all through territory you control.
Yeah. It's kind of a sad time to use this. I think I will do this anyway, and I'll move it around here so it's better positioned for when I need it later. Leave those Romanians to sort themselves out. Okay, so that's removed. And then I can do 2 attacks. So my first attack is going to be with the 4th Panzer here against... I've got 2 targets. Where are your planes? Really close by.
Is he attacking?
I'm thinking about this. I'm going to be
He hasn't
risky because I
decided
know
yet.
that's what you need to do. I'm going to attack these here. Okay, so I'm attacking that stack there. So I have... Oh, but I have flanking if I got the other one. Being stupid. I'll get rid of that. I'm going to attack this stack here. That's fine. But then you have more elite things anyway, so it doesn't... But I have more flanking. So that's fine. I'll just do that. I'll stop thinking about it. So I'm a German Panzer unit, so I've got 3 strength plus 2 for the flanking attackers, puts me on 5. Plus another 2 for being German armored unit in fair, puts me on 7. Plus another 1 for being Germans, puts me on 8. What's your strength then?
So
and you've got more elite badges than me.
Yeah, so I have 3, 1 for being more elite, 4, and 1 for having an armor, so 5.
German armor is +2 in the fair weather.
Yeah. You only get armor when you're attacking, Fred.
Oh, okay, so just so I'm a straight 4, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm on +8. Yeah, I counted that, I think. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm on.
Okay.
And then you've got -2 to my die roll from the aircraft, but I've got +2 from this Blitz campaign.
Yeah. Do you want to play an HQ card?
I don't know.
You don't want to play an HQ card.
So we're on 8 against 4 right now with no die. Yep.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about something. And you want to play
But it's
battle card?
-2 for his air.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's no die modifier because my Blitz campaign gives me a +2.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so, yeah, it's negated. Yeah.
No combat cards, no.
Okay. No combat cards from either.
Okay. So we're just on the +4 column with a straight 2d6. I got an 8. That's surely good.
So
yes.
that's
3 losses.
3 losses.
Nice.
And I have to take them because I cannot retreat. So,
really?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, you're pinned as well. That was excellent. Okay.
So I'm going to flip this one for 1.
Yep.
And then I'm going to lose... I'm going to eliminate the one at the bottom, the 8th card.
Yeah, that was great. And that eliminated unit's gone for good now, isn't it? It's just wiped out.
Yeah, they don't go to the force pool. They're gone.
Brilliant. Okay, can't use that one. Okay, cool. And then I get 1 more attack from my Blitz. So I only get the +2 if I have armor dissipating, but I don't know if I have any other armor in a good position. Motorized is not, in fact, armor. They're in a forest. So I was thinking about possibly attacking with this motorized unit up here, but it would be attacking into a forest, which seems foolish to me. What's the bonus for a hill defensive bonus? Just 2.
2.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 from armor, 5 from Germans, 6 from flanking. It'd be 6 against 6 there. And he's got his air force, which again would cancel out. So it'd just be on the 0, the evens. John, how do you feel about my odds just attacking on an even odds attack there? Is it worth a try?
With no die roll?
No die
What's
modifier.
the die roll?
Yeah.
It would be no DRM. My Blitz campaign cancels out.
I don't think the Germans can afford that. But
yeah, that was my thought too. That I should be more conservative there. I'm pleased with my other result though. That's hopefully blunted his.
On the other hand, that guy who's got 1 pip left is probably going to die anyway. So if you take a loss, you can give it to him.
That's true. Yeah.
Unless you have something that allows you to.
I have a plan. I do have a plan for that actually, and I think holding Smolensk and whatever is next to Smolensk.
Oh, wait a minute. Those attacked already.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Yeah, I do have a plan for this. So let me just look at the calc quickly. So I've got like a 50% chance of doing some damage to him, but 50% chance of doing some damage to myself. So I think I won't take the second attack. I think I'm better off holding this position. So I will
discard and then take an order.
Discard. Yes, and my order is going to be a reinforcement order, a recruit, which we have available here, which costs a mighty 21 initiative.
Woof.
And this,
that's a big move.
Yeah, this one, I think for all the German ones, I need to do 3 pips of infantry recruits for Germans and 1 pip if possible for a minor Axis faction.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these can be anywhere that's in supply, basically, but with additional constraints if I go across the sea.
They can be units on the map, or they can be units from your force pool.
Yeah,
any combination. You have... Where's your force pool there?
I have 1 infantry corps available, and then 1 security. It's the bottom right thread, and 1 Slovenian unit. That's it. So not too much. I think I need to use all the pips on reinforcing the guy in this city up here. Which city is it? Orel. Yeah, which is pretty important right now. So I could put all 3. I'm gonna put 2 on the guy in Orel, 2 on him, and I'm gonna put 1 on the guy in the forest down on the south of the Panzer Division down there, the south. And then I don't think I have anything to do with the minor.
Where's the Panzer Division?
Down here. Oh no, it's it's motorized at the minute, not.
Oh yeah, he can take it then.
Yeah, because it got flipped. That's right.
Yeah. You do have 1 unit in. You do have 1 unit in Hungary that you can give a step to.
1 unit in Hungary, or I could bring in the Slovenians. But I think I'll do the Hungary one. So I'll use the minor pip from them, and then that's the end of my turn.
Okay.
And where did that put your initiative marker?
Very
way up.
But just before the event.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just before the event. So yeah. And we are at 1 hour and 25 minutes. So I think all faction had a go. It's probably a good moment to actually stop for that first session of Downfall.
So we're averaging 1 turn
Conquest
every
of the
half
Third
hour.
Reich.
That's not bad. Yep.
Yeah. Normally, I would say that once you play physically and it flows, I would say it's probably around 2 hours for a full game turn. Would you say that's realistic, John?
Yeah, 1.5 or 2 hours for experienced players. We did a lot of talking and learning. Per game turn. Yeah. So that's why there are scenarios of 8, 6, and 4 turns.
Yeah. And some player turns will also zip by. If you're just reinforcing or just playing a command failure, you'll have some very quick player turns in between them.
Okay, but I think Joe, I would recommend that we both do a save of this game. And I'm gonna call it so.
I'd be very pleased to carry on. It's been very enjoyable.
Yeah, it would be nice to finish the full. I would like to finish the full turn so we can see also the end of the turn and everything. So that could be good. We'll try to find a moment that would be maybe probably on a weekend, something like this. So we could play maybe a bit longer and maybe explain a bit less. Just explain our thought process and maybe explain a bit less everything that we do, because I think that with this, people have a good grasp of the flow of play, so we can move probably a bit faster and then stop when we get to the actual end of turn and talk about what's happening here.
There's an important correction from the audience that I was indeed mistaking a Slovakian unit for a Slovenian unit.
That's a risky thing to do, Joe.
It definitely does have the Slovakian flag on it.
Yes. So yeah. But thanks, Guy, for the encouragement. We tried to move along while explaining how the game goes as much as we could, so it was hard to find a balance. But I feel like we showed quite well how the game was running. But I would like to thank you again, John, for coming here and facilitating this game and providing all of those insights. That was really, really great. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. I know that we've talked about also having you for something a bit more old school, but we'll see. So like deep diving into your earlier designs in the future. There were some discussions on the Discord server, so the Homo Ludens Discord server, to see what games we could invite you to play. And there were some requests. I have a new series called Once a Crowd, where I play solo games with other people, which defeats the purpose of solo games on purpose. And there were some questions around, could we play some scenarios of ambush using actual camera and everything, so it would be with the physical game and everything. And it's probably something that I would like to do after my move back to France. So I would reach out to you, John, to see if we could organize something like this. It would be awesome to have you to play a game of ambush. I think that would be really great if you're up for it. But yeah. And we have someone from Billund, so that's unusual. Hi, Niels. And yes, you might know this, Niels, but I used to work in Billund for quite a while and living in Weil. So yeah, I'm not sure if we've met or not, but yeah. But that was great. Thanks everyone for being here tonight. If you want to join the Discord server, you want to support the show, you can donate on Ko-fi, and anything else that you would like to do to support the show, you can like this video, you can subscribe to the channel, and I will post some updates on Twitter for when we're going to have part 2 of this teach and play sessions with John Butterfield of Downfall, and I will also provide updates for when we're planning to have, potentially, if I manage to convince John, this game of Ambush, because John didn't react, so I don't know how to interpret this. I guess we discuss it offline.
I have less memory of how it plays probably than the people playing it.
Yeah, probably, but that's not really what matters. I think it's just nice to have you talk about what were you thinking when you were designing the game and everything. And I'm pretty sure we could also have an expert ambush player also here facilitating the game, and have you just for the historical flavor and explaining also the design process behind it, because I think it was a very influential solo game. So I think it would be just great to have you on, whether or not you feel comfortable talking about it. But yeah, but it was great. And thanks, Joe, for being here. Brendan was supposed to be here, but he bailed out on me because he was in Florida at Disney World with his family, which is a good thing to do. It's a good excuse for not being here, I guess. But it was nice to have you once again, Joe, on the show. Thanks, everyone. I would like to thank GMT also for providing a review copy. Always appreciate when publishers are supporting content creators, and GMT is definitely one of those publishers. So thanks to them, and specifically thanks to Rachel, who's very kind with me and very patient, I would say.
Rachel.
Yeah, very patient. And actually, talking about this, one thing before we end the stream, GMT Games YouTube channel is going to release an interview. I think it's today or tomorrow. I don't remember.
Today. They were having technical difficulties, but it should be released soon.
So yeah, so have a check at their YouTube channel. Rachel and Luke have been starting to make some content over there with some designer interviews, and also the GMT TLDR, where they go through the newsletter of the mounts for people who cannot read. Yeah, so that for people like me, basically. And an interview of Joe and I is going to be released later today, so that should be fun. The teaser on Twitter was really funny, so let's see how it goes. But thanks everyone again for being here tonight. Thanks again, John, and see everyone soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.